Welcome everyone to our class. Today in our class we are going to discuss about the pressure belt and wind. So before starting the video, please subscribe my channel, and if you like the video, please give a thumbs up. Okay, so let's start. Before starting this chapter, let's discuss about the few important informations about this chapter. Like what is air pressure or what is atmosphere. You know that the earth is surrounded by the layer of the air that is known as atmosphere. Okay, and as you know that air has combinations of the different kind of gases, and each and every gas have a weight. Because of that, air have the pressure. Okay, that is known as the atmospheric pressure. Okay, and here the atmospheric pressure generally two types. What are they? High pressure and low pressure. High pressure means what is that? More air molecules present in definite volume of air that develop the high pressure, and less air molecules present in that air mass that is created low air pressure. Okay, and why this variation see in the air pressure, why this has happened, different types, high pressure and low pressure, why we see this type of pressure? Because of the few reasons. What are they? Like number one, the variations of temperature. Okay, variations of temperature, that means that warm air is lighter than the cooler air. So when there is a heated up any place, that air is heated up. When this any area heated up by the huge temperature, the air easily goes up. Okay, and that regions become low pressure zone. Okay, and here when there is any cold air which is heavier and denser, that more pressures, and they settle down, and there is no low pressure zone created in that regions. Okay, and another reasons like the altitude from the sea level. Okay, if air mainly denser in the lower parts of the atmosphere, but lighter in when it is increasing the altitude. So that is why air pressure will be higher over a lowland area and lower over a higher mountainous area. Okay, and the rotations of the earth, as you know that the earth is rotated, the earth also cause the variations of the air pressure. Okay, the air is thin around the subpolar areas because of the rotations of the earth. Okay, and also the air is a bulk in the towards the equator regions, many middle regions of the earth. Okay, next one is the water vapor. As you know that moist air is lighter than the air without it. Okay, so dry air is heavier than the moist air because it contains more nitrogens and oxygens than the humid air. Okay, that is why air pressure is low during the rainy seasons, and winter seasons the air pressure is very high. Okay, so all of you I think understood that what is high pressure and low pressure. So again I am saying it again, that air pressure higher than surrounding normal air pressure, that is known as high pressure, and any pressure that less than the surrounding normal pressure, that is known as low pressure. Okay, and there is a 7 pressure belt are there in earth. Okay, like number one, equatorial low pressure belt. So what is equatorial low pressure belt, where it is located? This equatorial low pressure belt is located exactly from the equator to the 5° north and south latitudes. Okay, and here the dense heat caused by the vertical rays of the sun. As you know that sun always give heat or give the sun ray overrated the equator. Okay, that's why in that regions that convectional current originated in the equatorial regions, and in these regions more water vapor are created by the huge temperature, and these regions have landmass air also picks up large amount of water vapor and become lighter and less dense. So again this air expand and rises and creating that regions low pressure zone created in the equator. And after that the rotational force also influence the creations of the low pressure in the equatorial zone, and the rising air gets deflected to the north and the south of the equator by the rotations of the earth. And this zone does not have any horizontal movement of the air or wind, so that these regions remain calm regions. So that regions is also known as doldrum region. Okay. Next one is pressure belt is the subtropical high pressure belt. This pressure belt located from 25 to 35 degree north and south latitudes. Okay, here you can see the warm moist rising air from the equator and cools as it is rises higher. The cold air is heavier than the warm air, and then dense cold air sink down in this belt. Okay, and this region's air from the equator moves toward the pole regions, and as a result you can see the pulling up of the air in the subtropical region. Okay, and the wind in this region, the wind are forced to descend near the 30 to 35 degree latitude. So here the cold dry descending air is heavy and created high pressure belt in this zone. And after that you see that first of all from the 0 to 5 degree, when 5 to 10 degree there is a equatorial zone, that is the low pressure zone. After that 25 to 35 degree, this is the high pressure zone. Okay, high pressure zone. In this zone the cold air descended air the heavy and created a high pressure belt in this zone. And here you see the world major deserts are located in this zone. What are they? Like Sahara Desert, Kalahari Desert, Atacama Desert, all are present in 25 to 35 degree latitudes under this subtropical high pressure belt. Okay, and there is a no wind movement here in a few places. That regions is known as the horse latitudes. Okay, horse latitudes, you have to remember that 25 to basically 30 to 35 degree parallel in the both hemisphere, there is a no wind movement we can see in the oceans. So that is why these regions is known as horse latitudes. Okay, next one is the subpolar low pressure belt. After that you see the middle one is the low pressure, after that the high pressure belt, then again we see there is a subpolar low pressure belt in the both hemisphere. 60 to 70 degree north and south hemisphere we see the subpolar low pressure belt. Okay, the centrifugal force and the frictional force that as a result, and the rotations of the earth that display the air between the 60 degree to 70 degree latitudes, and air move towards the poles and the tropical regions. Okay, and you see here the air displays in the north subpolar belt and sink into the north polar regions, while that from the south subpolar belt sink the south polar regions. Okay, in both hemisphere, in the northern and the southern, and the same air gets deflected in the other way and sink in the northern subtropical and southern subtropical regions. Okay, and then the subpolar low pressure belt are comparatively warmer than the polar belts, so air expands and rises up, and that belt created the low pressure zone in both hemisphere. Okay, from 60 to 70 degree latitudes. So this is the subpolar low pressure belt. Next one, the polar high pressure belt. Here this belt you can found around the north pole and south pole, and these regions remain almost frozen throughout the year due to the huge dense and heavy air pressure that exists. And here the sun ray fall almost transically, not or you can say transically, that means not vertically. These regions remain quite cold, and because of the lack of the heat, the amount of the water vapor in the air is very low, so rainfall is also not happened here frequently. and air rising from the subtropical air polar regions and get reflected due to the rotations of the earth and then descend directly to the polar regions. So this is all about the 7 major pressure belt of the earth. Okay. Next, you have to know few things like the pressure cell. You know, because of the variations of the distributions of the land and water, that causes the variations in temperature and pressure belt over the land and water. Even you can see in the same latitude there is a different of air pressure, and we see because and temperature we see in the same land. Okay, so for this there is a no continuous belt or a pressure belt over the world. That's why we see different types of pressure belt, and the low pressure, high pressure, we see different type of pressure belt. And the discontinuity of this bend of the air temperature and the pressure over the same latitude form because of the isolated small cell air pressure. Okay, this when the small cell air pressure concentric pressure center, they are known as pressure cell. Okay, and in the northern hemisphere is greater variations we see due to the locations of the continent and the oceans, and air pressure cells are seen more often over the northern hemisphere. And as you know that the southern hemisphere mainly the water bodies are there more than the land, so that's why we see the pressure cell mainly properly we can see in the northern hemisphere. Next one, we have to know about the shifting of the pressure belt and the planetary wind. What is that? You know, the pressure belt of the world that formed mainly because of the heat of the sun. Okay, so the pressure belt shift with the apparent annual movement of the sun. Okay, and as you know that the revolutions of the earth, there is also the apparent movement of the sun from the northern hemisphere to the southern hemisphere. With this movement of the sun, the pressure belt shift northward in the summer seasons and southward in the winter seasons. So you see during the June month of June, the subpolar point lies over the Tropic of Cancer, and in the summer in the northern hemisphere, okay, and the pressure belt are shifted just 5 to 10 degree north to their normal positions. Okay, and similarly in the December month of December, when the sun over the Tropic of Capricorn, mane you see there is a that time in the December month southern hemisphere have the summer season. Okay, and during that time the summer of the southern hemisphere, the pressure will shift 5 to 10 degrees south of their average positions. With the shifting of the pressure belt, the wind belt also shift with their position, and which is also causes the changes of the directions. Okay, changes of the directions and the velocity also low there. Okay, and you see in this time that there is a huge impact of this changing of the climate and weather, the region which is basically located between the 30 to 45 degree latitudes, parallel latitude in the both hemisphere. Okay, and those regions come under the trade winds which gives rain. Because of the trade wind, the rainfall happened, okay, in the southern part of the Argentina, Sudan, but does not give any rain in the western margin like in the Mediterranean land, in the southern climate. Okay, as you know that these are that time these are the totally opposite directions or totally offshore zone. Okay, and in winter in this time because of the influence of the westerly wind, the revised weather or the climate we see in there. So you can see in the during the winter season there is a rainfall happen in the Mediterranean regions only because of the westerly disturbance and only because of this shifting of the pressure belt. Okay, so this is it all about the pressure belt. Okay, in our next class we will discuss about the wind. I hope you understood. If you have any queries, please comment below. Okay, see you in next video. Bye bye.